All right, everybody, welcome back to Time Capsule here on the Games Done Quick Twitch channel, the show where we travel back in time to your favorite years in gaming and speedrun our way through popular or influential games during the time of their release. The year is 2002, and I am your host, Smooth Operative. We are all set up for the next run, Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, and I have D-Limes13 here with me ready to run, along with commentary by Plywood and Apache Smash. Hello, gentlemen.
Hello. Thanks
Hello.
for having us.
Thank you for being here.
I am D-Limes13, and today I'll be playing Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance. I will be loading from a New Game Plus save in order to skip a 2.5-minute cutscene later on in the game. We'll be playing on European Extreme difficulty, the highest difficulty in the game. We'll be going for Big Boss rank, which is the best rank you can get in the game. And time is going to start when I select Not Game Over If Discovered in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
And while we head up to our first boss fight, I will let these guys kind of explain the run to y'all.
Yeah, so Metal Gear Solid 2 is split up into tiers. We're starting with the Tanker chapter. Now, you can play these individually, but if you want to have the full experience, you got to go Tanker Plant. And on the Tanker, we are Solid Snake. We're trying to do some reconnaissance, try to take some pictures of some spicy photos for the new Metal Gear model that the Marines have. But we're on European Extreme, and it can be a bit dicey running on European Extreme. Isn't that right, Apache?
Yeah, so you have the lowest amount of health. Generally, 3 hits from a guard will kill you all the way through the game, and many of the boss fights will also one-shot you as well, including this first boss fight, Olga. So you notice D-Limes took a shot there as he was heading through the boat. That shot doesn't matter so much. He's got like 2 expendable shots that he can use, and heading up to Olga, you can sometimes take both shots. As long as he doesn't take 3, that's okay.
Yeah, that's going to be a running theme throughout this whole run, is a lot of things will either take you out in just a couple hits or 1 hit. So you have to really have a strong knowledge of all the rooms and the routes. Right there, Limes did a shot off a wall. It was an auto-aim shot that distracted a guard in the corner, so he could just move along in that cafeteria area.
There's a lot of little ways you can misdirect guards. Shooting walls is a really good one, but it's a very tricky shot that you can sometimes end up taking a shot there as well. This first fight, Olga, she's on the right side, so immediately we know that we're... Sorry, was she left?
She went left.
This is the left side, Olga.
That's my bad. She looked like she was on the right.
Was that your left or my left? I can't quite... No.
Well, the fight's over already, so...
The fight's over.
So sorry,
but...
I take it all back. The left side is what we want because we can get that loop. Olga is going to go into a cutscene when she gets into that position where Limes began shooting her, but we manipulate her into noticing us, which allows us to set up an infinite on her, which is the fastest possible Olga. So that was really, really quick.
Very, very clean setup for that quick takedown on Olga. We have to take out Olga because she has a pistol on her, and we need that pistol to make progress deeper into the Tanker.
So I'm going to do a little warning shot here as just kind of a buffer. Then I can sneak underneath of this camera and then get past that guard. And then on this floor here, we're going to do another warning shot and get past this guard as well. That way he doesn't shoot us or interact with us. I run through him, that way I reset his animation. That way he doesn't call on an alert. And then down here, I'm going to take out this one guard. Same reason, so he doesn't call on an alert. And then we're going to be off to the engine room.
Yeah, so firing a loud gun automatically makes guards go on their radio, which is really good. A good way to manipulate guards in order to get past them, and we'll do that quite a lot in many rooms in the planet as well.
Yeah, that's why we run on Not Game Over If Discovered in terms of speed. But this engine room is actually pretty tricky in terms of the movement because guards see very far in European Extreme. So to get like the optimal engine room here, you need to be very, very fast. Unfortunately, Limes took a shot there, which is not optimal. It's going to make this coming fight against the guard rush a little bit more tricky because of his HP, but that's okay. Limes, he's got it down.
I think we'll manage.
I think so.
So deck 2 can be a little scary at times. If these guards see you, it's an instant alert. There's no calling in for backup in the deck. So I'm going to take out one guard, and then I'm going to do a punch kick buffer at the end of the hallway to let another guard pass me. So he goes down just like that. We'll do a punch kick while this dude's jamming out, and we'll just run by him while he listens to his tunes. Then this dude's going to be asleep, so just have a good rest, buddy.
Pacing out your movement there, it's a common thing you're going to see throughout this whole run is matching the cycle appropriately. But we're coming up into the guard rush. We're going to be fighting against several guards, and we're going to be tranking most of them, but I think we're going to be quote-unquote killing the last 3. Nice shot to stun that guard with the pistol, the lethal pistol, and then taking him out with the non-lethal pistol. This is a lot of just memorizing the guard patterns and knowing what shots will actually hit you. For instance, there's a guard that was going backwards, but none of his shots are actually going to land, so knowing how those guards actually shoot, which are actually lethal bullets, makes a huge difference. And even though those guards look like they died, trust me, they didn't actually die. They're fine. They're totally
Just
fine.
a flesh wound.
Just a flesh wound, according to the game. And now we are in the holds, and we're about to do a funky little ladder glitch.
Yeah, if you equip the camera at the same time as getting onto the ladder, the game throws you into like an out-of-bounds state. Behaves very weirdly, but we can manipulate that state in order to make Snake instantly climb down the ladder. There's a few ways to do it. The way Limes did it there was like the safest way, doing a full punch kick buffer before equipping the camera.
Freeze.
Here.
Looks like we got a little bug here where the commandant is not speaking, so
That's fun. Yeah, he changed the projector over to the right side because that is a lot faster than doing it without it. And we're going to be taking some pictures of Metal Gear here, but these are not exactly the pictures you would think would work. Specifically, the logo. I think I see it. It's somewhere in the picture, but
yeah, I think we saw it. It was pretty clear.
So the game asks you to get 3 pictures from the center, left, and right of Metal Gear, and also a close-up of the Marines logo photo. So the idea is you would move around and take 4 pictures, but we can manipulate those pictures essentially to make Archon think we've taken all the pictures correctly. But that's called 2-spot photos, what Limes did there.
And that was a
Just like
really
that.
clean tanker, I gotta say.
Yeah.
Exceptional.
Quick tanker, just like that. Now we're into the plant chapter with Raiden.
And this is going to be the bulk of the run, is the plant chapter. And Raiden controls a little bit differently compared to Snake. And you're going to see D-Limes do these. They're not actually cartwheels, but most people call them cartwheels. They're actually aerials. We're being super technical here. Or if you want to just be generic, just call them rolls. The cartwheel saves a tiny bit of time when you do it in a straightaway, but the thing is that the roll that Raiden does actually can clear gaps, and you can do a lot of funky stuff with it to save time beyond just clearing a little bit of speed in a straightaway. So you're going to see that a lot.
Yeah, so fun fact, the cartwheel saves 5/100ths of a second. And if you mess up one, you're losing probably more than a full second.
Yeah, at one point, we all loved cartwheels, but when you realize how little time save it actually gives you, you want to be actually pretty choosy about where you do it. Here, D-Limes is going to lure a guard down after punching one guard in the groin and just pass him by. Nothing too hard, but we're going into a sequence in the game, the bomb disposal, which has some of the trickiest rooms, arguably, in the Euro Extreme run.
Yeah, so the game does kind of slow down a little bit at the start of the plant. Going back to what you were saying about cartwheels, we recently looked at some old runs, and the thing that strikes out, that becomes noticeable straight away, is how bad people's cartwheels were in the past. Nowadays, people are like much more conservative or careful with how they do them. I think the game's, from a movement perspective, the game's really evolved.
Yeah, so the first part of the plant is just a lot of like tutorials, lots of cutscenes, lots of codec calls, just a lot of stuff to skip on our way to eventually meet our boy Pliskin.
Who's that?
You're supposed to do a hang there, and that was supposed to be like a hang mode tutorial, but I mean, who needs to hang? I mean, hang is really slow, really, really slow. You don't want to hang at all in this run.
Nobody got time for that. So I'm going to do a cartwheel out like that. Rose is calling me, wanting me to save the game, and this is a speed run, so we're not going to save, obviously. Skip right on through that and come back out to this bridge.
Rose always thinks we're going too fast and gives us plenty of opportunity to slow down and take a breather, and sometimes hit that save boss. You can accidentally press X when the save prompt comes up, and it brings up and some extra screens, so you lose a lot of time for that. You got to be aware of those.
Yeah, it's a lot more punishing on console, but luckily we're on the PC version of the game, so it's not too bad. You lose a few seconds.
This is the Stillman cutscene. It's the reason we play on New Game Plus, because this cutscene becomes skippable. It's around 2 minutes 45 seconds, something like that.
See, I was sitting over here thinking it was like 20 minutes. Man, I don't remember this game super well. Jeez.
I thought it was like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
This was the first game I ever did in Marathon, and I said it was 8 minutes. So I've always got that to look back on.
Another nice warning shot strat as we are exiting the Strut C to avoid getting shot from a guard patrolling by the bathrooms. One thing you got to be aware of, though, on European Extreme is the lack of ammo. You are given very limited ammo, so you need to be careful with how you use your shots throughout the bomb disposal, especially.
It's the famous dive guard.
So it's going to look like I killed that guard, but I did not kill that guard. He just going for a swim. He'll climb back up later, so he's fine.
That was a 10 out of 10 dive.
Yeah, that looked great.
Olympic worthy.
The Stray roof is really cool because when you hold up guards and knock them down, they stand back up in the held up position. So the way Limes rolls into that guard means that when the guard stands back up, he puts his hands up but he's facing away. If you hold up a guard and then he sees you run away, he'll begin the alert phase. He'll run to his radio and call for backup.
It'd be really tricky hitting the groin in this game, positioning the punch in first-person view. It's a very powerful tool, but it can be really tricky to position, especially with that guard. And you're not supposed to freeze the bomb from this side, but just the right position with the right angle makes all the difference.
I'm just going to let you talk, because last time we did commentary in a marathon, I was explaining coolant rises, which is like a frame saver. I explained the fact that he defused the bomb from the wrong side. So yeah.
Priorities, right?
Yeah.
We can talk about coolant rising a little bit later, because I'm sure he'll do it again. Nice shot on that radio as that guard's calling in for backup to avoid him causing an alert, and you have to immediately throw the chaff as you enter strut F here. Sometimes that guard will miss that shot, but don't count on it.
Yeah, it's pretty rare.
It's kind of, yeah, getting shot there is kind of expected. People who do European Extremes are so used to playing the game on this health now.
So very important that we pick up those stun grenades for later. We'll need them for the end of the game. Ideally, we'll get 1 to 2 more packs later as well. This bridge has a lot of... This has claymore mines, enemy ciphers, a lot going on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up that claymore mine. We're not actually going to use the mine, but it offers a level of safety and better lines for later. And
Very
then this
easy to
room,
run into that the claymores at the start, so it's just better to get one of them out of the way.
and while they're not one-hit kills on full health, they would be on my health. Also, you would get an alert if you hit one of those claymores, so for all intents and purposes, it would be a game over if I did hit one. This room is basically on a timer. We're just waiting for a bomb to come out of the conveyor belt here. And then we just need to take out these enemies, take out some cameras, and then the bomb just appears at the right time. That was close.
Yeah, I thought it was getting away then.
Yeah, I very weird, but we got it, so no big deal.
And it should be noted too that Limes took out guards in a very specific order along with the cameras, because if you take them out in the wrong order, one guard could notice another guard being knocked out and it just creates a huge mess. But this helipad, you're going to see the coolant rise again. Basically, it's an animation canceling glitch. You stand up in first person and unequip the coolant, and while you do that, you'll save on the animation of standing up that would normally be there if you were to stand up in third person. So it's a really neat time save, and it makes that line that Limes just did possible on European Extreme, which is pretty tight.
Yeah, standing up normally is like a full second plus. It's really, really slow. You can see a cool use of the box here to get low profile. If you just ran across there normally without the box, the guards would be able to see you.
And then we would get shot, and that wouldn't be a good thing. Strut D tends to be the trickiest strut in bomb disposal. There's a lot going on, and you have to defuse 3 bombs. So we're going to take out 4 guards. We need to headshot the first one, just get a body shot in the second one. And then we need to headshot this third one. We're going to go over here. We're going to lure this guard away from his position. Grab this ammo. And then we just need to get some type of shot on this last guard. Body, headshot, doesn't matter. And then start defusing bombs.
Yeah, oddly enough, even though knocking is really associated with these games, you're not going to see a whole lot of knock strats in this run. That was one of the few times you'll see Limes use a knock to distract a guard.
It's amazing that you can do this room while calmly explaining it. This room is legit ridiculously hard.
If I'm running this on Euro Extreme, I'm very quiet during Strut D, because the reason why this room is so hard, not only is there so many guards, but they have really open sight lines. There's not much obstructing, so because the guards see so far, it makes the room really tricky.
And you may have not noticed, but a couple of times he's cartwheeled up entire staircases. There's very specific setups for doing that. It's quite difficult to do. You use like markers on the floor and stuff to set them up. But if you fail those, your Raiden will just completely fall over. They're not really intended ways of getting up the stairs.
But they're very useful. That is a much more significant time save than just cartwheeling in a straightaway.
Yeah, so we grab sensor B. We need that to progress through the story. We're not actually going to use the sensor. There's a mega bomb at the bottom of strut A that we need to defuse. In order for us to be able to go down there and defuse that bomb, we have to pick up that sensor.
I don't know if it's been mentioned, apologies if it has, but we use previous for menuing. So in the options, you can change between unequip, which means when you tap R2, your weapon goes from whatever you've got equipped to nothing. Previous switches between whatever you've got and your last selected item, and it's a way of really speeding up Metal Gear Solid 2. I imagine most people who played it casually didn't play with that setting on.
It makes a huge difference with the menuing. If you were to play without previous on, it would multiply the menuing. I don't know by how much, but a significant amount.
Yeah, a great deal.
Plus,
Yeah,
we use the previous as a way to set up menus between game areas, which is a bit tricky, but there's a way to set up your menus and your weapons by exploiting how previous works, which Limes will actually show after Fortune.
Yeah, there's that, and then there's a key boss fight coming up that previous is critical for when we get to Fat Man. You'll see me switching between the M9 and SOCOM quite a bit on that fight. So now we're back down in the docks. We're going to defuse the Mega Bomb. Normally the game wants you to equip Sensor B and it'll start to beep, and then you have to find the bomb. Well, we know where it's at. It's just chilling right here.
In the easiest spot on European Extreme. It's in different spots depending on difficulty, but for some reason on European Extreme it's in arguably the most obvious spot, just sitting on a wall.
It's closest as well, right? So it's the fastest.
Yep.
Like, they've got to give us something on this difficulty.
Alright, so this is the Fortune fight. It's essentially an auto-scroller, but you do want to do certain things during this fight. More so on the lower difficulties, but on the higher difficulties, you're just going to move back and forth while she takes out barrels, the lights, a forklift, and just be sure not to get in the way and receive damage, because some of those are one-hit kills. And we're just going to do this the entire fight until the elevator comes back down.
Yeah, the reason why Limes is in the box, in part, is because the turning speed is faster in the box. So these 180 turns that Limes is doing, it's a lot easier to do with avoiding the shots in the box than if you weren't in the box.
Yeah, so despite being an auto-scroll and we've pretty much got our setup here, it is a very, very dangerous fight, and one wrong turn and you're getting hit by that railgun. She also fires way, way faster on Euro compared to the lower difficulties.
Oh, it should also be mentioned, because people sometimes wonder why this difficulty is called European Extreme. That's because the PAL release, the original PAL release, came out a bit later than anticipated. So they added an additional difficulty that was even harder than the regular Extreme. That was the reward for Europe. Hey, here's a difficulty named after you, and it's by far the hardest, and you're probably not going to be able to complete it. Have fun.
Yeah, they also made some significant changes from NTSC to PAL. PAL was very much the patch version of Sol. NTSC was like a beta, I guess, in some kind of ways.
Yeah, it was kind of rushed out the door, and then later releases had some fixes. So we're running over to Fat Man, and there's a timer ticking. It's not that big of a deal, but we do actually use the timer as a way to keep track of our progress if we're being uber competitive and trying to claw every second that we can. Really nice hold-up strat to keep that guard in check as we turn the corner as well.
Yeah, we make one radio call interrupt the other one as well, which is really cool. Some radio calls, some guards, their radio call is shorter than others, so the alert happens faster. So we have to be really careful of those.
And this room doesn't look like too big of a deal, but the timing on that warning shot is very specific, because if you shoot too early, guards that you don't cartwheel into will hear it and they'll call it in, which is a bad situation. So really nice by D-Limes here, and we're going so fast. We're going into the Fat Man fight. What is the deal with the Fat Man fight, Apache?
You've got to defuse a lot of bombs, and you've got to keep him right next to you. So right at the start, we're going to defuse the left bomb first, and that will mean Fat Man will go stand by the right bomb. Something you'll see here is that he'll shoot his foot to instantly knock Fat Man down, and then defuse the bomb while Fat Man is still stunned. And that means when Fat Man stands back up, he'll do this taunt and he can knock him down again. And now we're in the chase portion of the fight, so Fat Man can go off in any random direction. And you want to stay as close to him as possible, so you can immediately start shooting him with the SOCOM once his iframes have dropped. And every time he knocks Fat Man down, and Limes knocks Fat Man down, he's going to shoot him twice with the M9. The first shot has to happen really quickly. It has to happen before those stars above Fat Man's head appear, and that means he can get essentially double damage for every knockdown.
Yeah, this fight is really tricky because of the unpredictability of how Fat Man moves, and you have to know how to time out the shots due to his iframes. But yeah, that was a pretty clean fight.
That was exceptional.
Yep, little trouble on one part, but yeah, can't complain too much with that. If he doesn't plant any additional bombs, then it was a successful fight overall.
Something worth mentioning as well is the ammo is so low, you need 6 SOCOM shots to knock Fat Man down.
Yep.
So after he knocked him down and got the additional shot, Limes went and picked up some ammo, which is spawns all around the map, before taking the second shot and beginning the chase again. Oh, you got a hostage spawn.
Yep, from 10 to 11 p.m. according to your clock, whether it's on PC or console. When we get to the room to see Ames, all the other hostages will be old ladies.
Nice.
There's a few different spawn types. There's just a standard spawn, which is just a mix of hostages. There's the Jennifer spawn, as we call it, because of the Snake Tails mission where you go help out a hostage named Jennifer. And they're all that Jennifer. There's a man spawn, which always confuses me because it kind of looks like Ames.
It's the only other hostage that looks anything like Ames. Like, the rest of them look nothing like him. I'm really glad you explained why it's called Jennifer as well, because I didn't know that. Like, I've just been calling her Jennifer this whole time, and I had no idea why.
So we're taking a pit stop here for a certain weapon. Gotta complete the disguise.
Yeah.
Unfortunate. Limes tried to shoot the wall with the M9 there, which similar to what we did in the tanker. It just makes the guards stare at the wall and we can pick that AK up. So unfortunately he takes a shot there, which is a little bit slower.
Yeah, not too big of a deal health-wise coming up for other events, but just, like Apache said, just a little bit slower. Very important that we take out that cipher there, otherwise, obviously, we get spotted. And now we're into the Shell 1 core, where we're going to meet our friend Ames, but first we have to go pick up the directional microphone, which is on the B2 floor.
Yeah, because Ames has a pacemaker, so that's how we're going to figure out, even though we know who Ames is, we've played this game many times, we still need to pick it up to actually communicate with him. So that is what we're going to be doing. And we're going to be meeting a pesky, noisy little bird.
You mean that overgrown parakeet?
That's the exact one I'm referring to, yes. I'm curious what the bird's going to say. Maybe konnichiwa? Oh wait, that's only on the Japanese version. I'm sorry, I'm Venus and Cancer. That's right. That's what the bird was gonna say.
Of course, right?
I was 100% correct in my prediction.
We always hit the elevator button twice. Hitting it twice will make it come faster speed, and there's also a very low chance of getting what we call fast elevator, where it opens instantaneously and saves about 2 seconds. Lime's gonna knock on the door there, on the wall. Sorry. If you knock quick enough, that guard will run. If you're slower when you knock on the wall, the guard will walk, and it costs you like 8 seconds. It's really, really slow. He also positioned Raiden so he could instantly grab the guard as soon as it was possible.
Pretty cool looking. And here, Ames spawns in a completely random spot, so D-Limes is going to be searching for Ames. This is actually a fairly good spawn. If Ames spawns in a bad spot, like on the left side of the hostage room, he'd have to go for a backup strategy that uses a punch kick in first person to basically break how the guards interact with you, and you can just talk to Ames regardless. Otherwise, this room is a real pain if you don't do that because of the guard cycles and the fact that they see so well. And it's a pretty open room. Again, there's not a lot of obstructions.
Something we found recently with that room is that if you take the BDU off, which is only really possible on lower difficulties, you know, if it's a bit risky to do that in European Extreme, but the room actually loads faster if you're not in the BDU, and it saves you time. The Shell 1 exit is notorious. It's a really, really difficult room. There's what we call an assault team guard stood by the door with the shield there. Those guys don't radio in for backup. If they see you, it's an instant alert. So you have to be very, very careful.
Immediately going for the AK shot on that Cypher. Very important. If you forget that, that's an alert. A lot of these little things you got to remember, especially on PC, the loads are so fast. That's why if you're learning European Extreme, it can be a little bit scary on PC because it's like boom, 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 room.
Yeah, everything is just really fast-paced, fast-moving on the PC version. You just don't have time to breathe or think.
Something Limes did when he entered that room, and he's done it again there, is when a guard sees you, if you equip the box, they don't shoot you, they run off to radio in for backup. So the box has many really good uses in this game.
Yeah, that dodging shot mechanic, or I wouldn't really call it a mechanic, it's kind of an exploit with timing the box equip, is so key to strategies on European Extreme because of how low our HP is and how quickly we die from guard shots. So we're heading on over to the Shell 1-2 connecting bridge, and this bridge has a bunch of sensors that we have to take out with our sniper rifle or SOCOM, depending on what you prefer. And on the highest difficulty, we have the most bombs we have to deal with, or sensors, excuse me. If you accidentally shoot a bomb, the bridge blows up, and if you shoot the ciphers, which have 2 sensors on them, the bridge also blows up, so that's not something we want to do.
Yeah, the item that Lime's just equipped there as well is the Pentazamin. That will allow us to steady our aim with the sniper rifle. Otherwise, when you're zoomed in, your aim will shake, essentially.
And a really cute little trick, little time save that Limes did. He unequipped and re-equipped his rifle, and then it reset the aim basically down to neutral, staring straight ahead. So when you're going back down after shooting the ciphers, you can just unequip, re-equip, and save a little bit of time rather than aiming down. But we're going into the Harrier. This is by far one of the hardest fights in the game on European Extreme. Limes is going to be going for a really cool start here to get as much damage as possible, getting the Harrier as it's flying overhead and getting 5 shots, which is very tricky to do, especially on PC because of how fast it goes. That's the fastest, but this makes the fight actually harder, not easier.
Yeah, that opening is so incredibly tight that you're essentially just spamming the square button to get your stingers out as quickly as possible, because there's literally no time in between them. Skips that cutscene at a very specific point that allows us to get the 2, what we call the die shots. We call them that because Solidus shouts die as he flies over you. This is looking really good so far. The Kasaka is the helicopter that's
You said that, and then the Kasaka flew right in front of Limes' aim.
Oh god, that was so clever, a little backup there. Something Limes did as he was about to take a shot from the Harrier, he peeked out with his gun and did a peek out shot. It gives you invincibility frames, and we're going to see a real usage of that right now. If those missiles hit you, you're dead, but fortunately we get iframes from doing these pop-out shots.
Yep, now we just want to spam. Unfortunately, we didn't do enough damage to clear him right then and there, but we got lucky. We got lucky, and he didn't fly away off into the horizon quickly, because that's basically what he'll do. Right afterwards, he'll fly in the horizon and go for another missile attack. So that was still a decent fight. And now for the leap of faith. All right, we're good.
Exceptional.
I want that. Give me the ammo.
Yeah, you missed the
I,
last pack. It's like,
You know, I've known Limes a long time now, and I know he's thinking, damn, that Harrier was slow. And I know every single person watching is thinking, damn, that was so fast. That's the ridiculous
I hold myself
hard
to
fight.
somewhat of a higher standard since I do have the records, but yeah, that was a mediocre Harrier if this was a speedrun, but in a situation like this, I'll take it all day long.
It's a terrifying fight. It's very, very scary.
and really difficult to learn in terms of knowing how to aim, where to aim, and how to use the stinger appropriately. Gonna use a very cool little knock strat here to distract a guard and make him face the wall. And Limes is taking it nice and easy with this ledge, because this is a legendary spot where if you're not careful, you could just fall and then have to do the whole room all over again. Not something you want to deal with in a marathon situation.
Yeah, so if you try to get up against the wall, sometimes Raiden can just do kind of weird things except stick against the wall. And I have fallen to my death a few times there, and it's been dubbed the D-Lime special because of it. So I'm very happy that we avoided the special.
Yeah,
Now we're
see,
in the shell too.
I feel like I get on that wall earlier and earlier. I'm going to be like going just after the window soon.
Yeah. You just turn the corner, you're like, I can't chance it. There's no way. Cute little micro time save there during the cutscene. While it fades away, you turn your aim with the D mic so you're facing the correct direction.
Who came up with that?
I'm not sure, but by
did.
my rough calculations, I think it saves about 3 frames.
It was all me, all of it.
You invented this game.
I actually did. I was part of the development team. I'm a bit ashamed. You're really you're not supposed to be this good.
Congrats on being plywood, I guess. Something we haven't said. When you get these mandatory codecs, they actually flash up on the screen. But if you know where they are, you can hold select preemptively, and you'll save like it's a ridiculous time save. It's like 2 seconds for a codec. Across the game, you're saving well over 10 seconds for knowing where they all are. You've really
Yeah,
got to watch
so-
these sea mines because they take so much health off you.
Yeah, it's
actually
called
an instant
100%.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, so I just went with the safe option.
It's
Yep.
on extreme. Yeah, on extreme it'll take you to bleeding, but on European extreme it's just an instant kill. So, not something we want to mess with on this difficulty. We're about to meet the President of the United States for a very brief moment in time before he dies, sadly. But we need to wake him up so that he dies at the right time, because we don't want to kill him right now. We want to talk to him, get some really important information about the world, and to do that, we need him alive. So we wake him up with a stinger shot to the wall, travel through the events with the Nikita. Very important that you don't mess this up, because waking him up and setting him up like that means that he will get out of the way. But if you screwed up your Nikita shot in the vent, he can get in the way of the Nikita, and the President is not built to take missiles to the face, so we really don't want that happening.
Yeah, taking out the circuit panel like that is kind of a reference to Metal Gear Solid 1. There's a lot of references in this game to that game that you kind of replicate. So that was just one key one for sure. And now he's dead. So he died at the correct time. We really
All
just need to
according to
get the level
plan.
4 card out of him more than anything in order to progress.
So coming up is the Vamp fight, and if you've played European Extreme casually and got through this whole thing, you know, bless you, because Vamp by standard design is very difficult on European Extreme, but we are going to be exploiting the AI and force him to go into a counterattack loop, basically. The only thing is with this counterattack loop, You get hit by that knife, it'll take out 100% of your HP, I do believe. So, you
Yep.
know, it's a lethal hit to the jugular.
Yep. A la the theme with European Extreme. One hit and you're gone for most boss fights.
While you're swimming here, you have to rapidly press circle to move quickly and just navigate around these mines. There's more mines on European Extreme. It's not that big of a deal as long as you know how to adjust accordingly up and down. It's not too bad. There's actually a skip here that we call swim glitch, swim skip, but it's very tight to accomplish and barely worth it on PC. So most of the time, as I understand, Limes doesn't like it. Neither do I. So he's just like, I don't need to do that. No thanks.
Alright, so here's the vamp fight. I'll let these guys explain.
Yeah, so Vamp can be exploited. You can infinite him with punches. The setup is you let him go into the water, and now Limes is going to hang off this ledge. He's going to wait until Vamp comes up and see which side he's on, because he can be on the left or right. And when Vamp does this slash, he will stand up out of the water, which gives him iframes, and he can begin this punch cycle. So I believe you can do anywhere up to 9 punches if you're exceptional at this. But then Vamp will slash his dagger again, and you have to avoid being in the way of that, and he throws it out in a huge arc, and again it will kill you in one hit if you're in the way of it. And we'll just go back and forth, carefully doing these punches rhythmically.
Yeah, and that arc is really deceptive. It's much larger than you think. And then right at the end of the fight, what you want to do is finish him off with a punch-punch-kick combo and finish him with the last hit of the kick. That will cause the fade out at the end of the fight to be a little bit faster. We just use a health cue from Vamp's health. It's like the easiest way to do it. Like once he hits a certain point in his HP, you take it. Right here is a little pit stop that Limes is going to go for, the body armor, which is pretty gosh darn useful near the end of the game. So just a little detour.
It costs you about 7 or 8 seconds to grab it, but you could lose your run if you don't have it. It's imperative.
Yeah, luckily the category's into that point where you have to not pick it up. I mean, there's still plenty of time saved throughout the run, so I will take my body armor and go home with it. Thank you very much.
So now we've got Emma. She's going to be tagging along for a little while. Just to start with, she has a lower O2 gauge, so we can swim for a shorter amount of time before it starts draining health. We have to be very careful with Emma's health, because if it goes below the A in her name, she'll just sit on the floor when we're trying to move her around, and it really messes up if that happens, so we have to be super careful with her.
Yep, there's some tech involved with trying to get Emma moving as quickly as possible. You see that Raiden grabs Emma's hand, and there's something called the fast hand grab. Pretty fitting, of course. Nothing too complicated in that, where you try to position yourself right near Emma at the right spot, so she grabs your hand as quickly as possible and doesn't have to reach so far.
So we're going to make another pit stop here to grab the PSG-1T for Tranquilizer. We'll need that to take out some guards later, that way we don't kill them. And then just ever so carefully avoid these mines, because it would be a one-hit kill for the both of us if we touch them. And we are out of the mine phase, and now we just have to get out of the water. As Apache said before, Emma's life hits the letter A. And it looks like we'll have plenty of time to do that.
As long as you know where you're swimming, you're totally fine. And here, Emma does not like bugs. You're supposed to spray these bugs, but instead we're just going to, well, I'm just going to bring her over.
I can completely picture myself playing this game, for the first time in 2002, spraying those bugs with the coolant for like
I know I did.
How long it takes.
Yep.
I feel like such an idiot now.
I remember doing that, getting every little bug just away, just out of the area. It took so long to do.
So we're going to buffer our movement here, so when we come out of this doorway here, the guard will not be facing towards us. Emma dies very quickly if guards see us. Aside from getting the alert, she'll take one shot at this health and die instantly, so it's very dangerous. We've got to avoid them. There's a couple more guards here in a moment. We'll just position ourselves. They don't really move if you get here quick enough, so we can just take them out with headshots. And then there's one more guard that spawns just before we leave the shell too.
Just gotta mention, I really appreciate how Limes approach those two guards. Usually I would hold them both up, but that can actually backfire if you don't position yourself properly, so that was pretty cool to watch. And right here, we're gonna see a cool little thing called the Emma bump. Boop! And pushing her into the load zone is actually gonna push her further up, so we don't have to hold her hand and guide her through that little hallway. And Limes did an additional bump there right before grabbing her hand. Just these little itty-bitty time saves during this escort sequence.
Yeah, the second Emma bump, I think it was BMN who
I think so.
popularized that. And that really has come from people speedrunning very easy and trying to find every little frame of time save we can. All kinds of things are being found in that. That first Emma bump is notorious because it can actually soft lock the game. You'll come out the door, Emma won't be there, she actually falls through the level, and then the game becomes impossible to complete. On PC, it's extremely rare. There's like 1 or 2 reports of it happening. Most runners will go for it, but on the HD collection, there's like a 99% chance of it happening or something. You would never go for it on console.
It's very risky on HD collection. So we're about to enter the notorious auto-scroller sequence of this game, the sniping sequence, but as you go up in difficulties, there's more things to do. So even though this is an auto-scroller, we have a lot that we have to address during this auto-scroller, and there are ways to lose time. So you can't really save time here, you can only lose time. So we want to prevent that as much as possible. Got to take out some claymores, take out some ciphers, and trank some guards as well.
Yeah, so there'll be 11 claymore mines. There'll be 8 ciphers they have to take out. I believe 8 guards as well throughout this whole sequence. And if the guards spot Emma at any point, then she's going to cower and just kind of stop in place, and that loses a ton of time. If you fire in Emma's area at all, she can just fall at random, and that can lose time as well. So there's a lot of ways to lose time here, not a lot of ways to really gain any time. So you do kind of got to be careful.
I gotta say, I appreciate that you counted all these things, because I certainly didn't. I'm just like, all right, I took out those things in that direction, those things in that direction. All right, I think I'm good.
I'm a numbers guy. What can I say?
He's such a massive nerd for numbers. Like, I think that's really what's helped him get every record.
Ironically enough, it's kind of what got me into speedrunning in general, just because I like the numbers, I like the analytics, I like the quick calculations on the go, and it was one motivating factor for me getting into speedrunning in general. I just like the numbers portion of it. I like it on the fly.
In case anyone's watching thinking, oh no, you have to be really into maths to get into speedrunning.
I'm just a really weird guy, so...
He did the numbers so you don't have to.
Exactly.
So as Emma approaches each of these silos, there are several guards that show up. D-Limes expertly took out the first silo guards. He knows this top to bottom, so it's just a matter of knowing when the guards show up. But you're going to see that he's going to try and avoid using the Pentasmin for that guard. Opening up the menu, of course, loses some time, so we want to only use the Pentasmin when we need to, not because we can.
I don't think it's really been mentioned, but GOG recently re-released Metal Gear Solid 2 Substance, the PC version. We're using the PC version that was released all those years ago, but we use a fix called V's Fix, which makes this version very playable on PC. I'd like to say it probably wouldn't function without it. I don't think anyone would run it if V's Fix didn't exist, but it's just like a free fix you can download if you search free V's Fix on Google.
It's a great patch, yeah.
Yeah, it's
just
like
makes it a lot easier to run this game. Before V's Fix, it was a pain in the butt to get this game running on modern operating systems. So huge shout out to V, and you can put that on the GOG version because GOG games are DRM free, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, I was gonna say if anyone's picked this up recently, I would apply V's Fix to it. It's very, very good.
Yeah, definitely a big shout out to V fans for the fix and everything. He's done a lot of work for this game, and we would not be here playing this game without him and finding all these cool time saves, optimizations that can translate to the other versions of the game for the most part. So big shout out to him.
In my opinion, speedrun wise, it turned this version of the game from the worst version to the best version to speedrun on.
Yep, for sure.
While we're at it, I think we should also mention that there is a thick with 2 C's bounty for finding a skip in this game on any version of over $1,000. It's more than 1,000. I think it's 1,200.
Did it increase? Okay.
Did it? I thought it was 12. At least $1,000. Okay, I know
at least $1,000.
Like
yeah.
$1,000.
Yeah, it's like
it's similar to $1,000.
Yeah. So we're really thirsty for that because this game, even though we have, there are exploits and things defined, and there is the elevator clip in the original Sons of Liberty version, there really hasn't been much found. This game's locked down pretty tight in terms of the flags and such. So if someone could find something, that would be pretty neat, especially if we could skip this sequence specifically, because this is by far the slowest point in the whole run.
Yeah, it's looking pretty locked down, right? I mean, various people have tried, and as Ploward said, things have been found, but no sequence break yet.
So coming up is the second fight against Vamp 2, and Limes is going to aim not at the head, which is what you would think you would do in a sniping situation, but at his leg. That's because his head will get knocked back if you aim at the leg, or excuse me, the head. So aiming at the leg at just the right spot means we can just spam, and it's a lot faster than going for the headshots. It's just easier.
And you do it just like that.
Yep, just like that. So Emma has been stabbed, and now we have to go back to the computer room where we originally picked up the directional microphone and meet with Otacon, Emma, and Snake there to try to insert a virus into Arsenal gear. And we have 3 minutes basically to get there. Should be plenty of time, I would think.
How much time do you get on very easy? 1,000 seconds or something? Like 10 minutes?
1,200. You get 20 minutes. Oh.
20 minutes to go through like 4 rooms. It's great.
This is the Substance version, so chaff grenades explode at a decent pace, but if you play this game on the HD collection, chaff grenades take way, way longer to explode for some reason.
The other annoying thing about the HD collection, even though it's a fun version casually, arguably the best version just because of how nice all the textures look, but in a speedrun sense, what's really annoying about the HD collection is every codec there's this slow startup, so it takes a few seconds for each codec to start, and over the course of the whole run, that adds up a lot. Like a lot, since there's a ton of codec calls you have to skip through in this game.
Yeah, it's like hard-coded in as well, so it's present in every single version of the HD collection. PS3, the Xbox, Shield, it's just there in all of them for the same amount of time.
High concentration of cerebral implants. Have they altered your memory?
Yeah, so this part here, you don't need to mash anything. It's basically just a tutorial on how to hold your breath, but you can't die or take any damage here.
Looks
You
exactly
don't need to
like the
mash.
torture room from Metal Gear Solid 1 as well.
A la MGS1, again, yep.
Yeah, on purpose.
More references.
So coming up is a pretty cool little time save that isn't very obvious if you play this game casually. You're just hooked up into this machine and you can't move, but you're supposed to talk to Rose. So if you just go and call Rose, you'll have the conversation immediately rather than waiting for her to call you.
You always got to remember to press select again though if you do it that way.
And we have no gear, no armor, nothing. We are in our birthday suit, and there are guards called Tengus, and sort of like the alert assault team. If they spot us, it's an automatic alert. There's no calling in, so this room is really tight. We have to hold select for the codec call at the very start. That way we get that first frame codec, so we can get past that first Tengu in the room.
This is one of the scariest rooms in the run, and there's an infamous gap here, the Jejunum gap. If you cartwheel at the wrong time, you'll fall down it. I can see you shaking your head as well.
I thought I missed it. I legitimately thought I missed it. That's why I shook it and like I got lucky, so I'll take it.
It's a very tight gap, and if you fall down, it's not only a huge time loss, but the situation gets a little scary for a lot of runners if you don't know the backup. And that's something we didn't really mention that much during this run, is you really want to know a lot of backups during this run because it's quite easy to fail the plan A strat, so knowing the plan B strat or the plan C strat, very important.
Yeah, it's such a game of like incredibly difficult and tight rooms to perform. So yeah, you do have to know a whole host of backups to get some runs going in this game.
This room is a bit weird. Casually, you don't really know what's going on, but as long as you're standing in a certain range and you just have to get through a certain number of codec calls, and then Snake shows up and gives you the gear, and you need to slash at least once to basically start a timer to count down so we can get to the next sequence, which is the first of 2 Tengu fights. But Tengu 1, as we call it, is going to be skipped by doing a punch kick in first person at the door you're supposed to exit from. But the thing is, getting there can be pretty scary.
Yeah, if you notice, Limes has been picking up all these packs of stun grenades and the body armor. This is what it's all come.
It's like, why do you have all that stuff? What do you need that for? You're not using it. It's literally just for this room.
Yeah, this
That's
room's
how
terrifying.
hard it is. So he's going to immediately start cooking a stun grenade to take out a group up ahead. You're supposed to slowly make your way through here, but we don't have time for that. We need to get to the door as quickly as possible.
Yeah, so the body armor he's got on means he can take more shots without dying. If he takes another shot, he'd be dead now, essentially. To make his way to this door, and that was absolutely perfect.
I get so nervous anytime I see any runner in that room. I can't even talk.
Yeah, I was just trying to speak, and yeah, it's so rough. And then Tengu 2 is even harder as well, because in Tengu 2 we have to rely on RNG. We're going to do the Tengu 2 skip, which means we're essentially going to keep this Tengu for longer than the game intends him to be there, and then the game will assume that he's stuck somewhere and end the room. But the problem is, we are one shot from death, and we need Snake to kill all the other Tengus and prevent them from coming to us. Snake can die in this section, we can die in this section, a whole host of things can go wrong, and it's completely just out of our hands.
Yeah, all we can really do is count our chokes appropriately and hope that there's not some errant bullet that flies into this room or Snake doesn't die. Now, he can equip a pistol instead of the assault rifle, but as long as you're at a low HP, he will always equip the assault rifle, which helps his chances, but he could still die even with the M4 assault rifle. It's happened. We actually had a race once where it happened to both myself and Platonic Guy. I think it happened to him twice.
Yeah, it
I
happened
mean,
to
it
him
was
twice and you once, right? It was ridiculous. It was
absolute
unheard
madness.
of.
Yeah, that was absurd. So, once you get to this part, you just kind of cross your fingers.
Limes will crouch here because when you crouch, Raiden can recover a little bit of health. So that was nice looking at Limes popping off.
So relieved by that. You have no idea.
If you
Like,
think
it is
Tengu,
just a gamble when you get in those rooms.
if you think Tengu 1 and 2 was hard, this next fight is the Metal Gear Ray fight. The robot, I guess, the mecha we took pictures of in the tanker. There's now 20 of them that we have to fight our way through, or 20 health bars worth.
They're mad we
this is-
took pictures. We weren't supposed to take those pictures. Now we have to take down 20 of these fools.
Yeah. We took pictures of it and now we're going to pay. Yeah, this crazy fight, it's crazy long fight as well. Limes is going to try something called the Ray Loop, where he's going to keep all 2 Rays basically at the front of the stage and not attacking him, and just go leg head and deal damage to them with the Stinger. Limes is really good at this fight, like really good at this fight.
It's a fun
think
fight. It's my
think-
favorite fight in the game by far.
It's very intense, and even more so on PC. I didn't really mention this too much, but PC is one of the few versions that has no lag, and lag can be beneficial here if you know how to work with it. The fact that there is no lag means you need to be operating on full blast overdrive this whole fight. So right at the start, getting some nice cheeky shots on their faces. This whole part is very scripted. We want to stay on script during this fight to get the maximum damage and to pace out our Ray kills, because pacing out the Ray kills will mean that we can get into this Ray loop that we were discussing before.
Yeah,
So
I
it
think,
may look kind of weird. Like, he's just like, why did he take so long to take these shots? It's all according to plan. All according to plan.
When I started running this game about 2 years ago, an average, European Extreme Rays fight was about 8 or 9 minutes, and Limes really adapted this Ray loop, and now his fights are generally 4 to 5 minutes, so it's a really significant time save you can get by keeping the Rays pinned down at the stage here.
So he's essentially juggling damage between them, addressing the Ray that comes on stage. As you've probably noticed, typically he'll shoot the knee, and that will cause the Ray to open its mouth and get a nice crit damage shot. Sometimes the Ray will also do like a battle cry, and you can get a open mouth crit shot as well on that. Otherwise, if you just go for a normal shot on the Ray's head, it's a non-crit damage shot, but I believe it's 3 crit shots and 1 non-crit shot, and then the Ray's down, so. And constantly going back and forth to the Stinger respawn and going to a very specific spot on the stage, just so you can get like a very good vantage point on all the Rays.
Big thing with the way he's fighting them is the Stinger has a lot less to travel before it's damaging the Ray. Obviously, if the Ray's on the other side of the stage, it would take a long time to deal damage to them, so his DPS is so much higher.
Yeah, that's why the Ray loop saves so much time. If you lose the Ray loop, they'll start walking around the stage, and then it just takes a while for the Stinger to fly, and then you're getting into a situation where the Ray is going to start attacking you. And thankfully, we really haven't seen the Ray attack us too much. It was only at the start of the fight. But getting attacked by the Ray, we have to dodge, or we have to take the time to stun the Ray before it does an attack against us. It's just a waste of time. We want to keep that damage high in a DPS sense.
And naturally, like, you can tell that he would die to one hit because he has like 1 pixel of health. But all of the raised attacks will kill you anyway on European Extreme, apart from the machine gun, only if you have body armor. So he did actually take a machine gun hit at the start of the fight. But I think Limes, you know, says to the Rays, "I'm not trapped in here with you. You're trapped in here with me."
Even so, this fight requires an absurd amount of focus. Most people here become very quiet because timing out your shots, making sure you're keeping track of your stinger count so you don't start just firing nothing. It's all very key. This fight has been going very well, but I probably shouldn't say that because then something wrong will happen. Sometimes the Rays can throw you for a loop, pardon the pun. I've seen Rays operate in very strange ways. Sometimes, like, they will try to laser you or water cannon you from off stage, which is really rare, but when it happens, you're probably just gonna die. Pretty lame.
Very good. Very
That
good
was
fight.
an
You finally got it. You
insanely
finally
good
got
fight.
it.
We
This
can't,
is
like,
third time
seriously,
doing
folks.
that.
If you're not clapping for that,
I admit that I
come on.
underestimated
That was so good.
But our reward for doing that is we get to suffer through torture for 50. That's 50 seconds where I have to mash.
Yeah, and I think the rate you want to end up at is 8 presses per second, which sounds like a lot, but the really key thing with this mash is just pacing yourself appropriately. Don't overexert yourself at the start. Though we should mention, though, on the leaderboard, we made a decision this year to allow turbo for this sequence. So even if you can't do this mash, you can still run European Extreme on PC version. If you run the HD collection, though, they actually nerf this sequence, so it's only about 15 seconds long, which is pretty nice.
Yeah, so other versions of the game are patched to be easier. Substances like the OG difficulty, Solidus is harder, the Torch is harder. There's other changes as well, but this torture really is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, and what really makes it hard is the lack of breaks. So people complain about the mashing torture sequence in MGS1. Well, for one, you don't actually have to do it. You can just submit to the torture and move on. And for two, you can regain your health and there's breaks in between each torture sequence. This is just solid 50 seconds of mashing. Gnarly.
Yeah, I think it was a good design decision, really, to make it easier in subsequent versions.
Agreed.
So this is the Solidus fight. We're going to try to get him into a punch loop where we swipe at him and then do a series of punches on his blind side. I'll let these guys take the lead for this.
Yeah, so it's worthwhile mentioning that they nerfed Solidus's damage on the HD collection, but that is not the case on this version. He does do quite a bit of damage if we're not careful. So the basic premise of this is we attack him on his good side where his eye is, and then punch him on his bad side where his eye patch is, which is such a really cool detail. I still love it. I didn't know about this when I played this game way back in the day. But exploiting this little feature that is in this design, we can basically get him stuck in this counterattack loop. He's going to try and attack us after we do the double slash, and he'll just never manage to do it as long as we time our attacks well. But the camera, oh my gosh, Apache, the camera.
Oh, it's an absolute nightmare in this fight. It moves in some weird positions. This is a kind of a gross one. There are some ones that are a lot worse. Once we get Solidus down to half health there, he's going to go into phase 2. What Limes did was he knocked him down. He knew he was about to go into phase 2, so he knocked him down, which gave him time to run all the way to the other side of the stage. It means Solidus will go to the side furthest from you. Yeah, that's correct. Which means he does a short dash, which is a little bit faster.
tiny little time save. Phase 2, he removes his tentacles. Ooh, big deal. We're just gonna initiate the loop again. Ideally, he doesn't dash too much and he just attacks us immediately, but as long as you keep the loop going, we don't have to see any additional attacks. And that's that. It's a really simple fight on its face, but because of the camera moving around and the fact that you need to know how to move appropriately around Solidus makes it a bit trickier than it looks on first glance.
The timing is no joke for doing the punches and then the slashes. It's not like you do it as quickly as possible. You have to really time it out, otherwise Solidus is going to beat you up.
And time is coming up on the final hit of Solidus.
Let's go.
Oof.
Yeah, sloppy ending. But that's the game, time.
A sloppy ending to what was an incredible run and a big boss run to boot.
Was
Well
a big boss
done,
run.
D-Lines.
So, yeah, I was very happy to especially get that Ray loop because I've done this run in a couple other events and I screwed up the Ray loop both times. That's my favorite fight, so I get pretty upset when I screw it up, but I was very pleased on nailing it here. But I just want to say to Games Done Quick, thanks for having me, having Apache and Plywood on commentary. It was certainly fun. Love to be a part of it. And if you want to learn any of these games, Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, any of them, visit our website, metalgearspeedrunners.com. We have a Discord, a wiki full of valuable information, guides, tutorials, saves, all kinds of resources. And if you like me personally and want to see more speedruns from me, I do stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/dlimes13. And be sure to follow my commentators as well. Plywood_, and follow Apache on Twitter at Apache Smash. It's a good Twitter.
Solid Twitter. And really, it's never been a better time to get into this game because the PC port got re-released. So feel free to check it out because the V's patch, V's fix is really good.
Well, thank you so much, boys. I really appreciate you taking the time to run this for us, D-Limes, and thank you for commentating Plywood and Apache. It was really great. Such a treat to watch. It's so impressive, and especially on European Extreme. There were so many moments where we were like holding our breath.
Yep,
really
same
good
here.
time.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you.
you.
But before we break, I just want to let everyone know that AGDQ 2021 online game submissions and volunteer applications are open now until October 4th. So if you are interested in becoming a runner or a volunteer for the event, go to gamesdonequick.com. You can learn about all of our shows and submit your runs or ideas at gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. We are currently looking for a show starting in a couple of months. So if you're free every other Wednesday starting in November, email hotfix@gamesdonequick.com with your ideas, along with 2 episode concepts for consideration. The deadline for that is the end of the day tomorrow. We are going to a quick ad break while we set up for the next run. And if you have Amazon Prime and would like to support this show and other Hotfix shows, consider using your Prime Gaming sub here on the Games Done Quick channel. Thank you to our current subscribers. Metroid Prime is coming up next. Thank you so much. We'll be back.